So here I am setting up a rolling table for my new toy.
The press brake roll from Harbor Freight. First tip in unboxing it, don't tear this whole thing apart. There's just a nail here, and if you just take those nails out, you can lift this off, and you have a handy lid. I took it out of its original crate, and I mounted it to this table that I made. It's just, 2x6s and 2x4s. I put wheels on the bottom that can be easily locked, so I can move it to wherever I need to put it, and lock it in. On this side I drilled some holes for the little Allen keys that come with it, just so that they're always there when I need them. So it does three functions. It's got a cutting bit down here, put the metal in, and this bar holds it securely, and then this one cuts it nicely. It's got a a 90-degree brake function, which works very well. And then also, actually, if you look over here on the brake, there are different plates, and each of these plates can easily be taken out so that you can form a box side. There's a 12-inch piece and a 10-inch piece and so on. You can take these out individually or combine them different ways. And then at the top, there's a roll, and you can adjust these things to get different diameters or whatever. Chopper from Menards, $80-some bucks. It's a 10-foot roll. Actually, it's 10 foot 4 inches, and I want to get as much out of it as I can. So I size my shingles to make maximum use of it. I measure the length that I need for my shingle, which to get 7 pieces out of this sheet, I need 17.5 inches. So that is my ideal size. And then I can feed this in the machine. Let's open that up. And I feed it up until, and actually I can use one of these blocks sometimes. And I'll take a block, a magnet block, useful, get my right angle like this, make sure it's square, and then lock it in place, and now that can't be moved. And I can use this to help me make sure it's square. But I'm also actually just looking inside, and I can see my tick mark there, and my other tick mark there. And this is just sort of like a double check. To have this here is making sure that it's all lined up nicely. Press down, and I've got my piece. Now I'm making something that needs sides and all that, so I put this, and I'll mark. I need to have 3 inches on the front, so 3. 3, and 2 on the back. So now I'm going to use that to fold in, but first actually I want a drip edge on this shingle. So I turn this off, and I come back around this side, and I just put these 2 keys here like this, turn them on. So now those are locked in place right there, and I can use that to stop the metal from going through too far. Then I take this, just give it a little bit of a drip edge. Alright, now the next component, flip it over, get rid of these blocks, and I give this a 90-degree bend. Now I find the best way to do this is when all these machines, this side comes down first and that side comes down a little bit behind it. So I start on this side until my little tick mark here is there, and then this one here is still a little bit adjustable, and I adjust that until it's also on the line. And then I can roll it through the circle like that to get my edge. Yeah. These are over folded right now, and that's a good thing because when I put it on the roof as a ridge cap, this will help it press into shape and will help it hold that edge tight. So I'll screw it down and be a little more flat like that, but it'll hold that edge nice and tight. And make a whole bunch more of these pretty quickly.
Then we cranked them out assembly line style. After the basic fold, we also needed to seam the ends of the tiles together. So I made a little dedicated jig for that rather than having to reconfigure the press brake each time. The wood jig is exactly the right width and has a little slot that lets the sheet metal in the exact right depth. And then we bend it over and hammer in the fold. The fold on one end of the tile goes up and the other side goes down. Then we go out and attach them to the building. More details on that process later in the video. You can see that we'd already put the tar paper up in the fall, just to keep the rain out from between the fox blocks and the new stucco so things wouldn't crack. Then back inside again to make some more tiles. Here I'm making half-length tiles to handle sections with more curvature. I have to admit that I really enjoyed this part, both making the tiles and putting them up there. I just like the look of them, even with the cold. Back to making some more tiles. In this shot you can see a bit more detail of how I handled the end seams. That notch out is to make it easier to seat the Tapcon screw at the top end of each tile. The diagonal trim on the ends of that fold just makes it a little easier to fit things together because that up has to fit inside the next one's down, and it just all fits better if you trim off a little bit. Attaching them to the building was quite a bit faster than folding each one. And what about that 30-inch brake press roll? Well, again, Harbor Freight shows you can get decent tools for good price. It was already priced lower than anywhere else, and I'd already done my research and was waiting for one of those nice 20% coupons that you get from Harbor Freight all the time. But then there was an even better Black Friday coupon, and I got it for $240. It seems very well made with good materials, grease nipples, etc. It took me only about 10 minutes to set up the cut to be just right, following the instructions that they provide, and then I was off working with it. The only hard part was getting that 300-pound beast from the wheelbarrow up onto that table. I haven't done much with the roll part of it, except for a little Valentine's Day heart craft that I did with the kids. Since this video, I've also used it along with, changing out those brake plates to make some much fancier tiles for the skylight caps. I haven't made that video yet though. But so far, pretty happy with this tool. Spring is here and I'm still working on these tiles. They weren't really critical paths, so I was really just working on them between other jobs, mostly on days when it was raining, and then I'd, put up a few of them for 20 minutes before getting started on something else. Time to slow down and show you my install process. I started with some construction adhesive, liquid nails. Again, this is just what I did. Maybe this will rip the tar paper during expansion and contraction, I don't know, but it seemed like a good idea to me at the time. I had the up seam on the previous shingle up in a vertical position so that it would be out of the way of the driver when I'm putting in that Tapcon. But now that the Tapcon is seated, I want to knock it down a bit to more easily accept the next shingle. Then I tuck the new shingle in, making sure it slides all the way. And then I hammer the seam down. Once that lower seam is set, I can drill for the next Tapcon at the top end. I thought one screw would be enough, and I wouldn't have to worry so much about heat expansion, changing the distance between the screws, or causing any issues there. These short Tapcons go in very easily. I also wanted to secure the edge a bit better, so I decided to use rivets. These rivets are copper 4-4 rivets, meaning they are 4/32 or 1/8 of an inch in diameter, and 4/16 or 1/4 of an inch long in that middle section. So I need to use a 1/8 inch drill bit to pre-drill the holes in the material. I push the copper tiles into the position that I want them to be before I drill. Then I push them again to realign those holes, and I get that rivet through both holes and fasten the pieces together, and then they stay that way. They actually hold the shape better than I thought they would. Then I wipe off any glue or fingerprints, and I wait for the patina to happen. For this last piece on the front, I had really planned that I would have to custom measure and cut a custom piece to length. However, just the way it worked out, I got lucky, and it was not only already perfectly centered, but it was also exactly the same length as the other pieces. On this corner of the garage, the concrete from between the Fox blocks had leaked out in a way that was really rough, and I knew that would imprint through the copper, so I chiseled it all off down to below the top edge of the Fox blocks. And here Michael is again filling that back in with some nice smooth mortar. Then we put new tar paper over that and smoothed it all down. Some other random week, and I managed to find some time to come back and add the copper to this corner. I forget why I had to put 4 rivets in that end piece. There's our new puppy in the background, so now it's midsummer and I'm still making tiles. But at least we're near the end, and I did get a lot of other more important jobs done during those months. So the last tile, I'll just tap it like crazy until the seam looks right. In the next videos, we'll go back and finish off the prep work for the office apps, tower, and all those things. Then we switch to using gunite instead of shotcrete, and then eventually we start to bury the house. That'll be a fun video. If you're feeling the urge to click something right now, how about that subscribe button right down below? All set. Just gotta clean it off.